I've been captivated by this verse recently. It's a verse I've read many times, but in the book of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul writes this, that the church is Christ's body, the fullness of him who fills everything in every way. The church is his body, the fullness of him who fills everything in every way. I think this verse tells us what the purpose and plan of God in all of history, in all creation, is all about. Let's just unpack this. That God's desire is for Jesus' presence to fill everything in every way. God wants Jesus to go viral. God wants Jesus' life and his power and his grace to be known in everything, in every way. Every nook and cranny of creation, God wants to be filled with Jesus. Every corner of our hearts, God wants to be filled with Jesus. Every community of people, God wants to be filled with Jesus. That is his plan. Because it's in the presence of Jesus that the lost are found, that sinners are forgiven, that the broken are made whole, that the lonely find community, that wanderers find guidance, that the purposeless find purpose. God wants everywhere, everything to be filled with the presence of Jesus. And how is he going to do that? Well, that's what the most remarkable thing about this verse is. The fullness of Jesus is found in the church. The church is his body, the fullness of him who fills everything in every way. So the mission of God to fill the world with the presence of Jesus is realized through the people of God, of the church. The hope of the world is the presence of Jesus, and the presence of Jesus is located in the church. And I think it's really important to start there, because if we want our vision to be aligned with God's, then we need to get on the same page as him in this. That we're just not about seeing Jesus fill more of our lives and fill more of our church and fill more of our community and our circle of influence, but we should want Jesus to fill everything in every way, everywhere. As it said of the early church in Jerusalem in Acts 5:28, the enemies of the church say this: "You have filled Jerusalem with the teaching of Jesus." How have they done that? By basically being a city that was full of small communities of faith who were places of the presence of Jesus. That's how they filled the city with Jesus. And that brings us on then to the story of Grace Church Cardiff in the past 5 years. By God's grace, by God's kindness, and not according to anything of our own strength and ability, but grace has been one of these places that has filled a little patch of the city of Cardiff with a place of Jesus' presence. And in the last 5 years, we have been a place of Jesus' presence where people have met with Jesus. Ben prayed in our worship time of someone who encountered Jesus for the first time as a result of Alpha last week. So, it's been a place where people have met with Jesus. Grace has been a place where people have grown in faith. Just on Sunday, someone said to me that they don't know if they really, truly, deeply understood the grace of God until they found it in this community of faith. A place where people have grown in their understanding of faith and of the gospel. Grace has been a place where people have found family. We have loved being a church community that's small enough where everyone's story can be known, where everyone can be vulnerable and find a place and find friendship. I love seeing on Sunday, even standing at the kind of exit of Channel View, just seeing people reach out in hospitality to one another. We love that culture of family that we've got as a community. Grace has been a place where people have discovered their gifts. Talking to Ali just now about the youth being in the band the last few weeks and seeing them grow in their gifts, but then seeing these multiplied teams of people serving Jesus in Alpha and Book Table and kids and youth and tots and so much more. And Liz, who spoke from TLG on Sunday, just made a comment as she was leaving. What a responsive church we are. That when we're presented with a need, it's like we rise up and say, how can we get involved in that? And I think that is credit to the fact that God has made us a place of Jesus' presence where we want to discover and activate our gifts. And Grace has been a place where people have been caught up in God's mission. Whether Make Lunch, to Grangetown with Love, countless other initiatives locally, or things like Starfish, ARA, further afield. It's been great just seeing a community of people swept up in Jesus' mission. It was amazing on Sunday to have, I think there's 5 or 6 people go in with M to the prison, and just to think that, whilst we were gathering there on Sunday, some were kind of coming in a little bit late because they'd just been in the prison sharing the gospel with people caught up in Jesus' mission. This has been what Grace has been, a place of Jesus' presence. And I want to pause at this moment. I'm really building the suspense here before getting to the idea and the opportunity, because I really think this is an important exercise. I want you to take a moment, just in quiet, think about that list that I've just put up, and this question: what blessing has God brought to your life through Grace Church Cardiff? I trust that there is an answer to that question by the fact I've sat in this room tonight. But what particular blessing? Maybe it's a friendship, maybe it's a passion for something, maybe it's a teaching that you've learned, maybe it's the opportunity to serve, the fun, the adventure. Just think, just take a moment to think. How has God blessed you through this community of faith? How has it been one of those places where you have experienced the fullness of Jesus? The fullness of Jesus in a people and in a place. And then this is really where I'm going this evening. Now I want us to imagine if we could give that away to more people in more communities. That is our vision. To be a place that multiplies the life-giving presence of Jesus to more people and more places, that there would be more Grace places dotted around. Of course, we are one and love being in unity with local churches of all shapes and sizes and flavours. But what might it look like to have some Grace-flavoured places littering the city, the region, so that we might fill more communities with places, small communities of faith that are full of the presence of Jesus. So